Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at the latest fans from our good friends over at Thermaltake. This is the Swafan EX12 RGB, and they're magnetic. It's awesome. Swafan EX12 RGB. Absolutely awesome. Let's take a closer look. So these are the new Swafan EX12 RGB from our friends over at Thermaltake. These are actually available in a variety of different shapes and sizes. These are the 120mm in white, as you can quite possibly see already. And there are a black set as well, so if you want to go for the black ones to suit a black build, you can do. And also there is the option of either 120mm or 140mm variants. So there should be pretty much something for everyone. If you don't want RGB, probably best to avoid these. Although if you're not into RGB, you can go also for the CT140s or CT120s, which are also very good, which you can check out in a follow-up video. But these have got some really cool features. So first of all, obviously it is magnetic, so they are magnetic based, so they just magnetize together, which is absolutely awesome, making obviously installation much easier. If you're putting it onto a radiator, you can just magnetize them all together, put in a couple of screws, and it's held in place, keeping it nice and secure. And also it cuts down on an absolute ton of cable clutter. Now traditionally, if you had maybe 3 fans, more than likely you're going to be having 2 cables off of each fan, one for your PWM signal and one for your addressable RGB signal. Whereas with this, you've basically got one cable which goes back to the control box, which is absolutely awesome. And it just magnetizes in, and when it does, it just connects up, and they run absolutely great. The color I find is absolutely excellent. It doesn't look as good as it does in real life actually on camera here, because they are very bright. There is actually 20 LEDs in these, so you've got 14 around the outside edge and then an additional 6 LEDs in the middle center section, all of which are programmable in Thermaltake's TT RGB software, which has recently been updated to cope with these fans, and it does it particularly well. You can actually run up to 6 fans on one hub. You do get a hub included with the set as standard, a set of 3. So it is a very cohesive system, and it ties in really nicely with Thermaltake software. So that is a basic kind of introduction to them. Let's go through the unboxing process and show you exactly what you get. So when you receive your package from Thermaltake, this is what you're going to get. So Thermaltake Swafan EX12 RGB, PC cooling, TT Premium Edition, magnetic connections, swappable fan blades. So that is something we haven't even touched on yet. You can actually swap out the fan blades. So pretty much like the Swafans, the original versions, you can pop out the fan blades and put in a reverse blade. So if you've got a situation, such as maybe in your case at the bottom, you've got some fans installed and you want air blowing upward, but you still want to see that lovely RGB, literally take out your blade, put in a reverse blade, and you can have airflow and RGB at the same time. And you do get in the box all that included. On the back of the box goes through some more of the specifications, and as it says there, you can actually daisy chain up to 3 fans with 1 cable. Potentially they may increase that to be 4. There was some discussion with Thermaltake Mike, who you may have seen before, and the question was asked, so if we put enough pressure on Thermaltake, the designers, hopefully we'll add on so you can add on more. The limitation at the moment is basically kind of in the software, and also a little bit of a safeguard for actually wattage, because there's only a certain amount of power you can get through the hubs, so we have to bear that in mind. But so magnetic quick connect system, all the cool features there. I'll let you take a closer look at that. Specification wise, I'll take a closer look at the side of the box there. So we are looking at 500 to 2000 RPMs. We've also, like I said, got a 14 LED outer, 6 LED inner. Airflow, we're looking at 57.11 CFM in the standard mode and 56.26 CFM in reverse mode. So basically they're saying, whereas previously on the original Swafans, there was a little bit of a reduction if you went for the reverse mode, but in here it's pretty much the same thing, regardless of which way you have the airflow. You also got hydraulic bearings in there as well, and they also do come included with some lube, so if your fans get a little bit noisy after a while, you can just pop the blades out, give them a clean under the tap, let it dry out, apply some new grease, put it back in, and they should be as good as new. And if that isn't enough, they are rated for a 40,000 hour lifespan, which if you were running these things 24/7, you would be getting somewhere in the region of about 4.5 years worth of life out of them, which most people probably won't use them 24/7, but realistically they should last a long time, and obviously they are backed up with Thermaltake's 2-year warranty also. So that's the intro. Let's have a look and see what we actually get in the box. So it's actually a pretty nice little set we get in here. So as you can see, we've got the fans at the bottom here, and we've also got the spare blades, and also there is an accessories box. So maybe we should check out the accessories box first of all. So taking it all out of the box, as you can see, got it all spread out here. So you get two lots of instructions, one for the actual fans themselves, and also one for how to basically assemble it all together, but it's very, very straightforward. The only thing which may catch you out if you're installing a few of these and you've got a few hubs is the dip switches on the back. So it does tell you what the dip switches do, so you can actually make each one of the individual TT RGB controllers an individual unit, so making it much easier to control in the software. Also included, obviously, mounting hardware, so you get screws, traditional case screws, and also longer radiator screws, although Thermaltake do suggest if you are mounting these to a radiator, it's probably best to use the screws that come with the manufacturer from your radiator itself, just in case they're a little bit too long or a little bit too short, but they are there should you need them for any other reason. Maybe if you put them in the bottom of a case, etc., then they'll do that absolutely no problem at all. And in one of them, there is a little bit of Velcro as well, so you can attach the Thermaltake controller to the back of your case on a nice piece of Velcro, so if it needs to be removed or repositioned, you can just rip it off and put it somewhere else. Also included is a syringe full of lubricant, so this is for the actual fans themselves, so the spindle on the fan. If for some reason you're swapping them out, which potentially you might want to do, or maybe you've just had them in use for a little while and you've got a slightly dusty area, you can take the blades off, give them a rinse under the tap, give them a good clean, which makes the cleaning so much easier, being the fans just pop off. Give them a good clean, apply some new lubricant, and you're good to go for, well, hopefully a good few more years. Next up, we've got the Thermaltake control hub. So this is their latest generation hub, which will be included with pretty much all Thermaltake RGB equipment going forward. So this is great. So if you're trying to build up an ecosystem, you can get it all to work in here and also in the TT RGB Plus software. This will support things like keyboards, mice, all the lighting profiles, etc., and some of the other things which you may be looking into at a later date, such as water pumps, reservoirs, all those kinds of cool things. There are 5 ports, which look very much like USB ports on the side, so 3 there and 2 there. On the other side, you've got a USB connection, which is a mini USB, and also a power connection. So those can actually be used to daisy chain. So if you have got multiple controllers in your PC, there's a small cable, which is included, which has a mini USB or micro USB on one end and connectivity on the other. So you just plug that in on the side, and then you can daisy chain a couple of these together, sending the data signals through, which is pretty awesome. On the other side, there is the power input, which is like the floppy drive style connectors we used to have a long time ago. I'm a little bit saddened to see that, if I'm completely honest with you. I'd like to have seen that being a SATA connector, but they do include the appropriate connectivity. So there is a 4-pin Molex to floppy drive connector, which is included, and generally you get these with most power supplies now as an additional extra. When it comes to connectivity, there is a USB lead, so this plugs into the USB 2 header on your motherboard. And if we just stretch that out, so there is your USB 2.0 header, and on the other end you've got 2 micro USBs. So they make these nice and long, so maybe you've got one controller at the bottom of your PC, one velcroed at the top, etc., then you can stretch out accordingly. Now obviously, depending on how many headers that you have on your motherboard, you should be okay. Most boards these days have more than one USB type 2 header. If not, again, you can use the daisy chain if you've got multiple devices. And now the last bit, and possibly the coolest bit. So these are the actual connectors. So this is what is going to connect up to your fans, and it's nice to see that they've actually color coded these as well in white. If you go for the black version, you'll get a black cable. So this has the kind of almost like a USB type connection on this side, which plugs into one of your controllers. So nice and simple. Would have been nice to have seen a white controller for the white models, but I guess that's not the end of the world because it's going to be pretty much hidden away. Got a really nice long cable, which is somewhere in the region of about 1 meter long. So just one cable, and on the other end you get this magnetic section here, which then attaches to the fans, as we saw a little bit earlier. So very cool. You can have up to 3 on this. So again, you are replacing potentially 6 wires with a single wire, which makes internal case management for your builds look a lot sleeker, a lot easier to manage and all that kind of stuff. And actually I'm planning to put 9 of these potentially into the case behind me. So yeah, this should be fun. So now for the fans themselves, and as you can see, 120mm fans, no surprises there, standard width 25mm, so you're not going to have any weird things going on in terms of spacing or sizing. You can see around the outside edge, we've got this nice diffuse section for the 14 addressable RGBs around the outside edge, and you've also got 6 in the middle there. You've got rubberized sections, front and rear, and it's all been made particularly well. There's basically zero flex to these things. They are super solid. Nice little touches, such as the TT logos on the side, etc. And also on the side, you've got the pogo pins for connectivity. So pins there, and conversely on the other side, you've got the other pins. So obviously they do magnetize together. The other cool thing as well, you do get the included additional reverse blades, 3 of those to go obviously with your 3 fans. And to replace them, very straightforward. All you do, a little bit of pressure on the back, those pop out, and then you can see the motor inside. So we've got a 4-pole motor in there, and also you can see the addressable RGB LEDs in there as well. Really nice frame, and even with it removed, it's still super sturdy. So if you want to put your reverse blade on, just get your blade out, apply a very small amount of lubricant on the pole, and you can just snap that into position, and there you go. You have reversed airflow, or obviously traditional standard airflow should you want it. So very cool, very easy to do, no real problems there, and again you do get all the blades included. But for me, the biggest thing is the connectivity. So this is awesome. Literally, you've got pogo pins either side, and just line them up. You can tell if they're the right way because the magnet obviously repels it, and there we go. How cool is that? So they just magnetize together, and it does actually hold it in place. The magnet is pretty strong, and even that way around, the magnet is actually holding it in place. So if you've got some slightly challenging areas in your build where you can't quite get your screws in because of the angles, then the magnets might actually hold it in place. Clearly, Thermaltake won't condone that sort of thing, but certainly you can try it if you need to. And if you want to add more fans, just snap them in, and there you go. You've got your 3 fans ready to go onto your radiator. This actually makes installation a lot easier because you put these on your rad, put your screws in. It's extremely straightforward to do. And then when you're ready to fire them up, get your cable, and that is it. 1 cable, go into the controller, which you can hide out of the way, and all you'll see inside the case is this. And they've actually put it in a position so that if this is going on a radiator, there's a very strong chance that this is going to avoid anything like the pipes coming out, etc. They have designed this with their own Thermaltake hardware, such as the radiators, individuals, and AIOs. So they know that it fits very well, and it should be fine with pretty much any device. If it's not, obviously, just swip it around the other way, and you've got total pipe clearance. So absolutely excellent. You can daisy chain these even further, but it will only go with the PWM signal. So I've actually had 6 connected together, and the power goes through, but because the software is digital, it doesn't recognize the additional 3 fans, so you don't get any lighting. So if you do want to do a 480 mil, unfortunately, the way the software stands at present, the 4th fan won't be able to be kind of directly communicated to on the daisy chain. But there's nothing stopping you. There is additional cables in the packaging, so if you do need that extra fan on the end, you can always hook up another cable. What's the worst thing? You've got 2 cables coming out of 4 fans. I think it's still pretty decent. So let's take another look at the fans wired up, and as you can see, they look amazing. They really do. I am very, very happy with these, and I cannot wait to put them in the PC behind me. But yeah, it's going to make life a lot easier. It will make life a little bit more confusing in some respects. The TT RGB Plus software is excellent, and they have recently added a new PWM feature. So previously you could select fan profiles, either kind of low, silent, high, whereas now you've got full granular control. So from the lowest RPM rating of 500 RPMs up to 2000, and you can choose whether it detects the motherboard or it detects the CPU. So previously, if you're using these on a radiator for cooling your CPU, it was difficult to actually get the CPU signal in terms of temperature to the fans to actually control it properly. But now they've addressed that entirely, so you've got no issues whatsoever. So that TT RGB Plus software with its new sensors can actually replace things like Armory Crate, MSI Sensor, etc., etc., and do a fantastic job of cooling your system. And they do it at an exceptionally quiet rate. Currently these are at, must be about 500, 600 RPM, and they're totally silent. And I mean totally silent. I've got this literally right next to my lav mic, effectively. There's so little noise. These are extremely high quality fans. Now you do pay a premium for that, obviously, but if you are someone like me who is very sensitive to fan noise, fan ticking, all that kind of stuff, then this may be just the answer for you. And again, the flexibility and the fun you can have with these is awesome. Just take them off. Again, if you just got a single fan at the back of your PC, you can run just a single fan on its own. It isn't a problem. If you've got a 240mm rad, stick these on. Very simple to do. 360 rad, happy days, no problems at all. Or maybe at the front of your case, 360mm of fans there. And of course, there are the other options as well. So if you wanted to go with the 140s, maybe you've got a 280 radiator, all of that is possible, and also it's available in both colours. I think these are absolutely fantastic. I love them. They're not the cheapest. I'll put some links in the video description so you can check out local pricing. Here in the UK, it'll probably be Scan or Overclockers, something like that. So I'll put some links for those. Obviously Amazon as well when they actually get them, and links globally. They aren't cheap, but the flexibility and options and essentially the quality of the fan. If you're buying a fan, there's kind of two things you probably want from it. One is it to be good quality and silent, and the other thing is for it to actually look nice and be easy to use. And I think Thermaltake have basically knocked it out the park. If they can bring the price down, as we all like, then yeah, these are going to be an absolute winner, and hopefully there's more to come from Thermaltake, and potentially an update in the software to allow that fourth fan to go on the end, because if I take this one off now and put it on here, you can see it still spins, it's still sending the PWM power signal through, but the software doesn't know what to do with it in terms of RGB. So maybe just squeezing that last 120mm fan on the end might be the answer to some people's prayers for those 480 rads. Anyway, I think that's going to pretty much wrap things up for the Swafan EX12 RGB. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, smash that like button. If you want to see more content like this on a daily basis, then hit subscribe and the chime notification, and you'll be notified of future video releases. But for now, I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.